of the government.
Middle class. I'm sorry.
What
You are like upper.
Bourgeoisie, petty bourgeoisie, like Vivek Srivastava.
We have not struck a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. We are a class that has worked hard and worked for 36 years to get where we have. So come on, don't tax us towards the end. And we don't have any pension. Safety nets. We don't have any healthcare safety nets. So
I think one thing that citizens are looking for right now, look, the economy is in very good shape. You can say it's in great shape. Monica has the numbers. We can say the truth, weeds from the chaff has to be separated. Talk about facts. But citizens also expect a degree of frankness from the government, which I'm afraid even the economic survey sometimes does not give the true picture. For example, everyone's talking about how the public sector banking system has been reformed. The fact is, since 2014, the written off NPAs of public sector banks amount to about 13 lakh crores. How much of it has been recovered? 12%. What about the rest? That is our money. So everyone's going gaga over, look how the NPA system has been reformed, and the 10 lakh crores is not with the Indian people. Who's going to get that back? And we can't harp about, yes, there were reasons why the NPAs increased. Of course, the previous dispensation had to blame. But let's be frank about how much reform we have had. That's all I want.
Well, then you are somebody who will echo what Sanjay Jha will probably have to say. Sanjay Jha saw red the minute the word Gita was mentioned. Sanjay Jha, what's your problem with the Gita? And I know your problem with Shehzad Poonawala, but Gita se kya problem hai?
Navika, good evening. I think good morning rather. But I believe it's evening and sunset for the Indian economy overall, and it's pretty evident. But let me go down and make 4 points based on what I've heard on your program right now. Number one, my friend Poonawala talked about the IMF, and I need to tell the viewers of your program that the IMF has scored India's statistical data in national and GDP accounts as suspect. It calls it C grade. And I think it's a national embarrassment for India, calling itself a big economy, to be ridiculed worldwide by investors and analysts and countries as having a data that cannot be trusted. My point number two, I would appreciate I'm not interrupted and making 4 quick points. You have some lady economist on your program who had the audacity to say, or rather I would call the cheekiness to say, that India is growing at 7% compared to America at 5% and China at 5%. And
which
and
lady are you referring to? There is some lady economist, some lady anchor, some lady finance minister. Specify the lady.
You interrupted
and
me.
if you don't know the names, then you're extremely ignorant. I would have expected better from you.
Yeah. But then, I expected you to not interrupt me, Navika. I think her name is
but
Madam
I can't help it when you
Halan.
provoke me so much.
I've answered you. Now do not interrupt me till I finish. Navika, in the fairness of a debate, let's not be interrupted. I've hardly spoken. She talked about India at 7, China at 5, and India at 4, and said we are the fastest growing economy. To the viewers of this program, China's GDP is over 20 trillion. America is closing it at nearly 30. And she's comparing their growth rates with an economy at 4 trillion at 7%. I mean, this is the kind of bizarre, ridiculous nonsense that we should not be discussing on the day of the budget. Point number three. You
can't go on for point number 3 and 4 till the first two are resolved. 1 minute, one at a time. I just don't like the tone and tenor of Sanjay Jha, and I deeply have a problem with this. The manner in which he called out the lady economist, almost as if ladies don't have the right to be economists and you are a better economist than anybody else. Your tone, Sanjay Jha, for the first time in my life, I've had a problem with your tone. I don't know if it was a Saturday night hangover coming on to Sunday morning, because morning mein agar aapko raat dikh rahi hai that there is a problem, either you are in the United States of America and that part of the world, or you don't see any of the realities of India. But Monica Halan, the floor is yours to respond to Mr. Sanjay Jha in the manner that you deem fit. Please.
For a 4 trillion economy to get to 20 trillion, we do need a rate of growth. And if that rate of growth is 7.4, hopefully increasing over the years, that's the road that we will take. Now, to expect an economy to grow at 10 and overheat, like what happened in UPA 1, would be extremely dangerous. So the calibration is to keep the growth rate so that we don't implode. We don't have a problem the way that we had of very high inflation in that period. So it's just that. So are we going to argue that we should immediately go from being a poor country to a rich country? Or do sensible people see a pathway which goes through middle income India? I would see a pathway which goes through middle income India, and this leap is very dangerous. You can also crash and fall, like what we saw with the economy overheating in UPA 1.
Well, yes, but they don't have any memory of what happened to the economy in UPA 1. All their expectations are from Modi 1, 2 and 3 and Anand Ranganathan.
Fair enough, but to Sanjay's point, this is the problem. It's commonsensical. It is a like-for-like comparison. Now, whatever the IMF might have said as to what the Indian numbers are, they were the same last year as well. When you're talking of rate of growth, the numbers don't matter. And secondly, I want to ask Sanjay, do you believe the Chinese GDP numbers?
Okay, Anand, let me answer your question very quickly, okay? I got interrupted. I was expecting that. Obviously, I'm not surprised by that at all. But there is another, I don't know everybody. So, Navika, stop imposing on me the liability of knowing everybody's name. I'm probably getting MPC.
If you don't know Monica Hallan, Sanjay Jha, seriously, some introspection is in order. Some introspection is in order.
Madam, it's your introspection you need to worry about, because for the third time, despite 4 requests, you're interrupting me. So here is the point.
I am, because today you're being unbearable, which is not normally the case. Sorry, Sanjay Jha, you're prickly this morning.
Numbers don't lie, Navika. This is not rhetoric. So here is my answer to somebody who mentioned that subsidies need to be cut, and she has just returned from Davos. So let me ask her a question. Does she have any comment on the fact that today India has 1% people owning 40% of its wealth? And where did the 1,50,000 crore tax rebate given to the corporate sector in 2019 for private investment and jobs, where is it gone? You think
all right, we'll get you answers to that. Vaishali, not on the show anymore. Shehzad will respond to you, but those are visuals coming from Rashtrapati Bhavan. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman with another lady secretary next to her. Sanjay Jha, please take a note. And all her other secretaries joining her. And that is Pankaj Chaudhary, the Minister of State for Finance, awaiting the arrival of Rashtrapati Draupadi Murmu ji. And to her will be presented the first copy of the budget. But Shehzad Poonawalla, the 1% that owns 40% of the wealth actually includes Sanjay Jha. Do you think he should give up his wealth first, Shehzad Poonawalla?
Navika, first of all, what I just witnessed, and since Tehseen and I have been raised by single mother, I think it is called mansplaining, where you look down upon the competence of a woman merely because she is a woman. So she cannot be economist. She can't be president. In fact, President of India will be the one receiving Nirmala ji very soon. So we have a president who's a woman. We have an editor-in-chief of this channel who's a woman. We have a very reputed economist in Monica Hallan. And we also have a finance minister who's a woman. And this is the power of Nari Shakti, which Sanjay Jha has been looking down upon. Having said that, Sanjay Jha would forget that the Gini coefficient by which you measure the distance between haves and have-nots has actually tremendously increased and improved in the last 10-11 years. It is not that 1% has been having a majority of the resources right from 2014 onwards. This has been the case. This skewed development has been the gift of Congress party. But in fact, Mr. Anand Ranganathan is there and he will quote you the Gini coefficient number as to how it has improved in the last 11 years. But having said that, let me address 2 points, Navika. Small difference of opinion with you. You said कि देखो 12 लाख का दे दिया लास्ट ईयर, अब मिडिल क्लास को कुछ नहीं मिला। नाविका जी, अभी तो जीएसटी 2.0 में हमने 95% आइटम्स के प्राइसेस रिड्यूस करवाए हैं। अभी तो हमने फ्री हेल्थ केयर 50 करोड़ पीपल को मिलता है, प्लस जन औषधि केंद्र में 90% डिस्काउंट में दवाइयां मिलती है, दैट इज ऑल्सो फॉर द कॉमन मैन। अभी नाविका जी हमने देखा ब्रॉडबैंड जो 1 GB 350 रुपए का आता था, दैट कम्स फॉर 10 रुपीज, विच मीन्स इट्स अ सेविंग ऑफ ऑलमोस्ट 30 to 40,000 रुपीज पर हाउस होल्ड फॉर द 150 GB ऑफ डेटा। अभी तो हमने देखा है कि लोएस्ट इन्फ्लेशन रेट है ऑफ अबाउट 1 or 2%, विच मीन्स दैट ग्रोथ हो रहा था, आपकी इनकम बढ़ रही थी पर इन्फ्लेशन खा रहा था, पर अब वो आपकी जेब में जा रहा है। नाविका जी, आज हमने 25 करोड़ लोगों को गरीबी से निकाला है नाविका जी। और संजय झा को सिर्फ एक ही चीज कह सकता हूं, ही रोम्स अराउंड विद द गैंग।
There is no law last I saw which prevents us to hope for more, Shehzad Poonawala, and you can't take the hope away from middle class India. Call it middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, but the middle class has the right to hope for more. If the opposition doesn't have hopes, that's not my liability. But let me get in Ram Pratap Singh ji. Ram Pratap Singh ji, you know, somewhere or the other, I see a very, very stark comparison. बीजेपी को कुछ गलत नजर ही नहीं आता और आपको कुछ सही नजर ही नहीं आता in the economy. Obviously, the truth is somewhere in between. How do you see the economy currently poised, and what are your expectations from this budget?
Good morning, Navika. You're very right. There is a very buoyant mood about how the Indian economy is growing at a very healthy rate. But my only contention is, as you rightly said, the story is somewhere in between. This growth is not across sectors, and there are many Indias that we inhabit. And the top 1 or top 10% that we've been talking about is actually taking away most of the benefit of this India growth story. Whereas at the bottom end, people are, I mean, there are estimates that 25 crore people have come out of the poverty discourse. But there is some numbers which I would like to quote here. There is something known as NEET, not in employment, education and training. And unfortunately, 32.9% of our youth between 15 and 29 years of age are in NEET. We are talking about gender equality. 59.5% of the women are in NEET. So if they are not employed or educated or trained, how do we see the growth story reaching to them? That's where what I expect from this budget, that the focus has to be of investment in the rural infrastructure and the rural domain, which has not been happening. Last 7, 8, 10 budgets, I have expected that there'll be a substantial infrastructural investment in the rural sector, where the new growth story for India, the reforms 2.0 or 3.0, is actually about rural India. And that's where I think the budget should be headed.
Well said, Ram Pratap ji, but Rohit Azad.
I think first I would say that I take strong exception to the way Sanjay Jha has mentioned, and this is a very sexist response to what should have been about substance.
Right.
At the
I
same
agree
time,
with you.
At the same time, on certain issues, I think the facts need to be on the table. Why has the IMF said, has given a C grade? We need to understand that there's an economics behind it, and the logic is very simple. India's GDP calculation currently is based on single deflation, which essentially, if you give me 2 minutes, I can explain. So what you do is you find out the real output and you subtract the real input from it, which is what gives you the GVA of any sector. Now, if you do not count the two differently, which is what it should be, let's say that the input, the prices have been negative, then you would actually think that it is an increase in profit, but it is not really an increase in profit. There is a difference between prices of output and a difference between prices of input. If you do not correct for that, which is what India is going to actually, now in the new series, that correction is going to happen. And in all likelihood, the number of 7.4 is going to come down. So that's the reality. That's the reason why it has been given.
But do you agree that it's a rate of growth?
Just 1 second. So the rate of growth is going to come down. The volume of GDP is going to go up. So there's logic to that. It's not, just like that it has been said. So it's an important point. I think that is not to say that growth has not happened. I mean, that would be wrong, factually incorrect. But unless the growth reaches to the people of this country, you may actually get a K-shaped growth, which is the reality. If you look at bicycles, if you look at motorcycles, if you look at small cars, the growth has not really taken place in that sector. There has been growth, but the growth has been at the top end. And one last point I would like to make, comparing it what happened with the UPA and high rate of growth, now you can't have the cake and eat it too. When there is high growth, you have a problem. It happened in another government, you have a problem. If it happened with this government, you would be happy. Now have a consistent position that high growth is required to become a Viksit Bharat.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. Don't say if 7 is, then it's good. If it was 10, it was bad. That is not a consistent argument to make.
Certainly not. Everybody wants the highest growth, but you have to see the context in which this growth takes place. And Gusharan Das,
I think it's important to be aware of inequality, and we do measure it, but I wish we would also measure opportunity, because it is opportunity that will reduce inequality in the end. And therefore, instead of obsessing with 1% owning so much, let us, instead of just talking Gini coefficients, let us talk about how the job creation is going on, because we have a long way to go. I mean, we are not in nirvana, but are we on the right track? Are we creating? And for that, we've talked about, we need to create an industrial revolution still, etc., etc.
Can I make one point here?
Yes, Monica, absolutely. Every time you want to make a point, I will come straight to you, because, the sexist remarks have really upset me this morning.
Being a woman in finance, you sort of dismiss it.
Being a woman anywhere in this country,
but dismiss it more in finance.
Because Sanjay Jha is not normally like this, I take offense.
Yeah.
Other people, I don't know.
We'll just let it go. No, so all I'm saying is that there is a certain way to measure wealth with households, of which the household gold, what mainly the women wear and own, is excluded. Now, if we were to find a way to include that, those metrics would change hugely, because the Indian households own like so much gold, and every woman, that's really her security, her asset. So should we be able to impute a number to that, this inequality debate on the wealth, I think would change a bit.
Well, absolutely, but because you talk of gold, let's go straight across. We have breaking news coming in on the literal crash. No, crash is a bit much, but there has been a dip in the prices of gold and silver. This is not just a dip, it's a massive drop, and I'd like Hina to take us through what is really the extent. We've seen almost a 20 to 30% decrease in gold and silver prices. Reason, and are we going to see a further dip?
You mentioned about the factor T that we need to be careful about. So it's the same T factor that's behind this drop in gold and silver prices. It's US President Donald Trump. There has been a surge as far as US dollar is concerned, because reports came out early that Trump administration was preparing to nominate Kevin Warsh for US Fed Reserve Chair. And that is the reason why markets went into a bit of a tizzy, and gold as well as silver both have slumped. Gold prices have slumped more than 12%. They're below $5,000 an ounce, and that's the biggest single day decline that we've seen since 1980s. Many were saying that we are not really going to see a crash, but it has happened.
Well, it's happened, and yes, in India for 10 grams, gold prices are down literally 9,000 rupees per 10 grams, and silver prices down by about 17,000 rupees per kg. And joining me this morning is Mr. Nilesh Shah, MD of Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company, and also member of the Prime Minister's Economic Affairs Committee. Mr. Nilesh Shah, how are you looking at the overall sentiment as we go into the budget, the crash in prices of gold and silver? What is the future market likely to be? Where should people be investing, and how are the markets looking at the budget today?
The sentiments vary depending upon whether you are an investor or a speculator. A speculator in precious metal market or F&O trading in equity market is unlikely to be happy. The markets have been fairly volatile and speculators clearly are losing their money. On the other hand, investors who have followed asset allocation are still winning, and equity markets in particular today are cautiously optimistic. The valuations are high. Delivery has been slightly delayed. For last 6 quarters, our earnings growth has been in single digit. This quarter, it is impacted by labor code as well as rupee depreciation. Next quarter also, it is likely to be impacted by rupee depreciation. However, the long-term outlook still continues to be positive, and which is where we are looking forward to the budget, how it can change the orbit of the economy.
Are you expecting any changes in the long-term capital gain tax or STT? Because many people have been expecting some corrections there.
So the market does have expectations ahead of budget, but that is more of a hope or a prayer rather than real expectation. But one expectation which we have, there are many FPIs like endowment funds, charitable trust, pension funds. They don't pay tax in their own country. And in India, they are being taxed. We have provided tax exemption to sovereign funds, to citizens of nations like Singapore, Middle East, Netherlands. Can we extend the same exemption to entities which don't pay any tax in their home country? This can create a level playing field for FPIs. You don't pay tax in your country, you don't pay tax in our country. This could bring FPI flows into the market.
Well, we have big breaking news coming in as well. President Trump, has stated, and it's a big claim that is being made on India, having made a deal to buy Venezuelan oil.
That's a big one. That's a big one. He's speaking on board Air Force One. This is a White House release that has come out on YouTube, and he is very clearly saying that China is welcome to come in and make a great deal on oil. We already have made a deal. India is coming in, and they're going to be buying Venezuelan oil as opposed to buying it from Iran. So we've already made the concept of the deal. We know oil purchases have been a huge sticking point.
Let's listen into President Trump speaking on Air Force One.
Well, we haven't discussed that, but we're getting along very well with the leadership of Venezuela. They're doing a really good job. We're going to be selling a lot of oil, and we'll take some, and they'll take a lot, and they're going to do very well. They're going to make more money than they've ever made, and it's going to be beneficial to us. We're going to really, I think Venezuela is really going to turn around. You know, I opened up the airspace over Venezuela so that now people from Venezuela came from Venezuela here. They're going to be able to go back for the first time, go back to Venezuela and stay perhaps, or go back and see their relatives, go for a short period of time.
Sir, do you think China's going to get their money back from all the money they lent to Venezuela for
I don't
oil?
know. I don't know anything about that, but I'll tell you what, China is welcome to come in and would make a great deal in oil. You know, we welcome China. We've already made a deal. India's coming in, and they're going to be buying Venezuelan oil.
Well, India's been going to buy Venezuelan oil, and already the Congress is in a twist this morning. Jairam Ramesh extremely worried about why he gets news from Trump and not from India. That's his biggest question. Shahzad Poonawalla, do you want to answer that one? Why does Trump tell us what India should?
Navika, this is, I think, see, at least with somebody as, somebody as experienced as you, I would expect that you would put out that before 2019 sanctions on Venezuelan oil kicked in, India was anyways buying a lot of Venezuelan oil. And India's energy decisions are based on supply, diversification and rates. Now, when these three things align, we will go and buy the energy wherever we find it cheap, wherever we find supply is ensured, and wherever we want to diversify so that we are not dependent on one person or one entity or one country selling it to us. So this is a completely commercial decision. If at all these decisions are going forward, these are taken especially on the basis of only commercial interests of India. For instance, when we bought the Russian oil and the Russian-Ukraine war started, at that time we have saved lakhs and lakhs of crores of rupees, which translated to benefits to the Indian consumers. Now, if the economic decision is based on a market for supply forces, the Russian companies have been sanctioned. So therefore, because of that, it's not possible to buy. We will go to the next best place to buy. So I don't think in Iran
as simple as that. Visuals of Finance Minister reaching Parliament after her visit to the Rashtrapati, and those are visuals of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman reaching Parliament. But Sanjay Jha doesn't agree with you, neither does Vivek Srivastava. Sanjay Jha, what's your objection now?
Navika, there is a simple, I would say, national ethic that we should always subscribe to, not allow our decisions to be unilaterally, globally announced by another leader of another country. From the military ceasefire during Operation Sindoor, down to, being told 70 times by Donald Trump and not being challenged by Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi, as a head-to-head, which is the peer-to-peer conversation, has not once challenged Donald Trump's assertions on military ceasefire. Now, on a critical issue, you are aware of that as far as Iran oil is concerned, even in the past, under US pressure, India has backed out. Even on Russian oil, the same back out. So we are demonstrating an extremely weak, spineless character here, and this puts India literally like a pushover on the international chessboard of not just diplomatic politics, but including on terms of economic negotiation. It makes us look weak, and that's been my biggest, shall we say, beef about this government. This government cannot has not demonstrated.
You have several things that are your beef with the government, and on a spiritual note, not on a any other note, वो कहते हैं ना कि सरस्वती कंठ में रहती है. सडनली आपने disrespect किया एक महिला को, आपके गले में
that is your interpretation. That is your interpretation.
Obviously.
I will challenge that on social media today. I will challenge it as a deliberate conspiracy on this show to make me out, singling me out, because I actually debunked a flawed economic argument.
My friend, you did not. My friend, if you had debunked her proposition without calling her that woman economist, you would have gone ahead and done it. You do it routinely every night. I'm sorry, everyone. Tell me, was I wrong in understanding? Was I wrong? Did I actually play mischief with Sanjay Jha's statement? And I want a vote across this panel. Did I play mischief, or were his words out of line? Yes or no? Simple. Words out of line, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, certainly.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Why do you have to stress woman? You could have just said
economist. Yeah. I mean, I think that's how it came through, although he may not have actually intended it.
Well, then we are not responsible for getting into people's minds. We are responsible for what we hear. And Sanjay Jha, the jury here has spoken. Let's not, you want to go on social media and say anything, you're most free. It's a free country. But please do go ahead. But this panel, this studio is absolutely clear what it sounded like. But
fair enough.
Shehzad, respond to the substantive points made by Sanjay Jha on being a spineless government.
See, Navika, you have very senior people like Gurcharanji sitting in the panel, and they will tell you that India's policy of energy purchase has been announced long back, that it is a pragmatic policy. हमको जहां सस्ता मिलेगा, जहां हमारा interest सब होगा, हम वहां से खरीदेंगे. Every spot and commercial purchase is not announced by India. But if somebody like the President of America is going out of his way to offer us the Venezuelan oil, you should in fact see that this is the strength of India. कि भाई India की ताकत देखो. We have said that we will do the trade deal only when our agricultural interests are taken care of. We did not listen about the Russian oil. We have only gone and been governed by the commercial interests, and we are taking the decision based on the national interests of India. And even if in your view that American president is saying it for the Venezuelan oil, so it should be seen that how India has become powerful, that everybody is chasing. Somebody saying mother of oil deals कर दिया, कोई बोल रहा है कि हमारा तेल अभी आप खरीदेंगे. तो मुझे तो लगता है this is a great recognition of India being on the high table. पर संजय झा की दृष्टि anti women and anti India, क्या करें?
Well, let's look at some breaking news that's coming in, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh details are now coming in from Mumbai from a firing incident that took place late last night at filmmaker Rohit Shetty's residence. According to police sources, the accused arrived near Rohit Shetty's house on a motorcycle. There was only one shooter involved in the incident. About 4 rounds are expected or understood to have been fired. The accused parked the bike at some distance, then walked towards the tower, opened fire, and then fled the spot immediately. Any arrest being made? Well, we'll go across to Rucha joining us live from Mumbai. Rucha, what is the latest that you can tell us? Has security been beefed up? Has there been absolutely any information on who this accused is and what was the nature of this attack?
Well, currently the team of Juhu police is here along with the crime branch team, and they are currently recording statements of all those eyewitnesses who were present here when the attack took place, when the firing took place. And even now we are seeing a high deployment of Mumbai police, and currently from auto driver to the guards on gate, they are recording their statements with the crime branch. And what we are learning that one person was responsible for this attack. The man, unidentified man who was riding a motorcycle, he parked the bike on a short distance and then walked here, fired on the premises and the building of Rohit Shetty, and then immediately he fled away. Now, if we talk about the investigation, more than 100 CCTV footages are being reviewed by the Mumbai police, and there are lots of security cameras, including those which are inside the premises of Rohit Shetty's Shetty Tower, and also all those who were present here on streets are also being questioned because if we
can see some bullet marks on the walls and on the glass. Can you tell our cameraman to actually show those bullet marks? Yes, that's one. On which floor is the bullet on that glass as we're seeing it from here?
Well, if we look at the wall, the compound wall of the building, one shot can be seen, a mark of bullet can be seen. Another mark is visible on the glass on first floor. The attack was on ground and first floor. Along with that, if we look at some distance below the glass, there's another mark where we can see a white mark on wall. 3 shots are visible where the gun was fired, and more than 3 include actually 5 gunshots were fired, out of which 3 are clearly visible. And fortunately, nobody was in the balcony when the gun was fired. No one is reported injured in this entire incident. But what we are also learning is that Rohit Shetty was very much present in his residence when the attack took place. So we are learning the attack was attempted at 2:30 to 3 a.m. when Rohit Shetty was present inside the building. The family was also here, and
well, that is a rather disturbing development we are getting from Mumbai in Juhu, where police still investigating. 5 rounds being fired at Rohit Shetty filmmaker's residence, and very clear bullet marks being seen on the balcony on the first floor, on the boundary walls. Still awaiting the first arrest in this case. CCTV being looked at very, very closely by police officials at this moment, even as we speak. Thank you, Rucha, for joining us. With that, we'll slip into a short break. More budget updates coming up on the other side. Don't go anywhere, because the final countdown begins even as Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman heads for the cabinet meeting to first brief her colleague on what this budget has. Short break, back soon. Don't go anywhere. Just wait.
When the alarm goes off, the morning news turns on. From politics to global news, sports and entertainment to videos that go viral on social media. We cover it all. Every morning that matters you first comes only on the morning news app.
The Amrita MBA. The Amrita MBA is more than a degree. It's a transformational journey that blends academic rigor with real-world relevance. With fully residential campuses across India, Amrita's business schools stand apart for their academic excellence and international recognition. Apply now. Amrita MBA.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
Droopy volatility driven by global markets, domestic mismanagement or tariffs. Global. Domestic mismanagement, to you'll never confess.
It was supposed to be one nation, one tax. It became something like one nation, 9 taxes.
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
Why does the Congress party live in denial of this? That this was done on religious lines and then killing them. Biggest difference working in the UPA government and the NDA government.
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
Are you saying Jeffrey Epstein was murdered?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered, above all else. Frankly Speaking with Navika Kumar.
I carve the news blueprint of the day, one that chases the news course of the day, a course that is defiant, relevant, and persistent. I deliver the elusive truth and find justice. The stories here aren't just plain. They are a blueprint of what's explosive and exclusive. Watch Blueprint Explosive Exclusive every weekday at 6:30 p.m. only on Times Now.
When the nation demands clarity, we cut through the noise
To bring you the real story. Unbiased, unfiltered, unstoppable. On the ground, where it matters the most. With insights that go beyond the headlines. We connect the dots so you see the bigger picture. From every corner of the nation.
We are your voice. We are Times Now.
The faces you trust. The news you believe. Only on Times Now.
Debates that result in new ideas. Discourse that informs and inspires.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Voicing citizens' concerns and using the truth to demand answers.
Unmissable prime time, 8 to 11 p.m. Times Now. Action begins here.
Debates that result in new ideas. Discourse that informs and inspires.
I ask the legitimate question and uncover the whole truth.
Voicing citizens' concerns and using the truth to demand answers.
Unmissable prime time, 8 to 11 p.m. Times Now. Action begins here.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now looking at visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi arriving at Parliament for the cabinet meeting, expected to begin any time now. In fact, in this cabinet meeting, Nirmala Sitharaman, Finance Minister, will apprise her cabinet colleagues of what exactly are the headline takeaways, and I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I've always wanted to be, never quite made it inside as a fly on the wall. Yeah, I would have got swatted. Yes, you're right, Jaggi. This is Home Minister Amit Shah arriving at Parliament right ahead of the cabinet meeting. Anticipation high, not reading much from the smiles because the smiles never give anything away. It is an election year. For any party to stay in power, winning elections is the most important thing. But can it really happen at the cost of the economy? Can Finance Minister afford to be populist when prudence is the need of the hour is a question that we all need to ask tonight. You know, I can almost tell you what the opposition is going to say when they come out after the budget presentation, because that statement hasn't changed ever. They will say it's a lackluster budget, does nothing for the poor, increases income inequalities, no big ticket idea to increase India's growth rate, and blah, blah, blah. Am I wrong when I say this? But before I take a rain check on that, question tonight is also, freebies have only grown chiller in recent times. They've managed to do it in various states. It is competitive freebie promises that have gone on in every elections. And now we have 4 crucial states that are going for elections, 1 union territory. Our SOP's going to be the order of the hour. Something that should worry us all, because we're looking at correction, reforms, and looking at the economy on breaking away from the shackles and moving forward. What is the one thing I want to ask my panel? What is the one thing, Monica, that you think we will need to look at? Freebies, total no-no, but do you think Nirmala Sitharaman will be able to avoid the pressure?
I think the story has shifted to the states. You know, it's like, you know, parents have done a good job, they've skimmed and saved. But of all the kids, there are some who are just splurging without a thought for what the state deficits look like. Even in terms of implementation of a lot of things, I think the ball is firmly in the state's court right now. So she will continue as a good lady at the head of the financial ecosystem to do very conservative deficit numbers. That 4.4 is going to be achieved. So I think we are looking at this consolidation of the finance to continue. We are going to continue to see the capital investments happen, but there is a capacity limit to what the center can do. The implementation has to be in the states. So I think the story firmly should be with the states right now.
Anand Ranganathan.
I have a different view. I think it's not just the states that are to be blamed. It is the center that is encouraging this freebism. If you look at the on the eve of Bihar elections, that 10,000 one-off thing, it was dictated by none other than Narendra Modi. If you look at Maharashtra elections, all those schemes, you can call it freebism, you can call it whatever by any other name. But the fact of the matter is the freebism culture is directly from top down. It is not from bottom up. So yes, the states have to tighten the belt, but more than that, it's the center that needs to do that.
Absolutely, Jaggi.
So I don't expect any freebies this time, even though we have 4 or 5 major elections.
There will be infrastructure project X,
yes,
Y, Z in Tamil Nadu, in West Bengal.
I have no quarrel if you want to set up infrastructure in Tamil Nadu or Assam or West Bengal. You know, what's wrong with that? It's a good thing. That's not a freebie. It will improve the capacities of those economies. What I don't expect is the kind of pre-election freebies that we saw before Delhi elections and various things, which is like all the tax things and all that. But of course, even the tax relief was not a freebie, but it's a good thing to do. But what I'm trying to say is the important thing you need to do, I mean, I partly agree with Monica on that, states have to do, but even more than the states, the most disempowered part of government is local bodies. Why is it that Maharashtra's Bombay or Chennai, or they have such atrocious infrastructure. I mean, one wrong thing that happened with GST was that all these fellows lost their revenue buoyancy on their own. Now they get largest from states, which is why you see most of these rural ministers want to sit on the urban development department and make money from that instead of actually improving the infrastructure in the states. So the empowerment and financing of urban bodies, which is the clue to jobs. You're not going to get jobs in rural areas. You're going to get jobs in urban areas. And if urban infrastructure is improved...
Absolutely, and it's a crying need because, yes, our urban infrastructure reeks like hell. And that's the point many people make. We are paying taxes. What are we getting? Our drains don't function. Our colony roads. You may have built airports. You may have built highways. Fair. But outside my house, the road is in a dilapidated condition. Pani aata nahi hai. We've seen the Indore. Absolutely. Will there be something on the urban?
Latvian zone is fine, Navika.
We are not in the Latvian zone. Only the mantris are. Well, and opposition leaders. Rohit Azad.
I mean, this argument about freebies, and I think difference of opinion is good in a democracy because otherwise, same opinion, everybody holds. What's the point?
Rohit, you don't have to be defensive. Just
no, I'm not. I'm going to go on the offensive.
Difference of opinion is exactly what makes
Navika,
everybody
I'm going
take.
to go on the offensive. So that's the reason. I think when there's a class bias there. When it is given out to the poor, it's a freebie. When there's a corporate tax cut, it's called an incentive. If you have a position on government not spending, then it should be consistent. You do it for all. You say that it's a freebie for the corporate, withdraw that. If you say it's a freebie for the poor, withdraw that. But you can't say that freebie is fine, but this one is not.
Agreed.
That is an inconsistent position to take. Absolutely. That is very important. Secondly, I think it is important to also see, whichever name you want to give it, the impact of that has been on the economy. You have given a freebie, and I called it the freebie, to the corporate sector. The economic survey has been saying that you have not responded for the last 4 years. That tax cut was given to you in 2018-19. That was a freebie, but nobody talks about that. When it goes to the poor people who are also generating demand in the economy, then you have a problem because we belong to a class who would always like of this growth, some bit to come here, but not go to the poor. That's wrong economics.
Not true, but yes, it's a mixed bag. There are political compulsions and there is good economics in all of this. And
Navika, 10 seconds, because
10 seconds, you've never spoken anything, Anand Ranganath.
there is nothing that Rohit had said that is wrong.
Voice.
I completely agree with him. But the fact is, somebody has to draw that line between what is welfareism and what is freebism. There are some things that are absolutely freebism, like MSP is freebism, like having government ads is freebism.
Wrong.
Like,
No,
for
Anand,
example,
you got it
old
wrong.
pension scheme reversion is freebism.
No,
let me please.
Sure,
I never interrupted
go ahead.
you. You see, you have the government mandated limit for buffer capacity how much government can procure food grains as about 40 million tons. It hovers around 25 million tons. You know what our procurement was 2 years ago? 100 million tons. Politicians don't have the heart or the guts to refuse procuring. Every year, we keep on procuring more and more of the food grains because we give MSP.
And then that
don't have enough storage capacity.
And then
Navika, can I respond to that?
Do we procure other products?
Just
Why
one
only
second.
MSP?
Okay.
No, get others also. Procure more.
Achha,
but the
other
reason,
also.
One second. Now let me respond.
Okay.
Stocks are high. Stocks of food grains are high because you're not distributing. You procure, but you don't distribute. That is a problem.
80 million for 80
if
crores.
your public distribution system you dismantle, then you don't distribute. That is exactly why your stocks are high.
Well,
MSP provides...
it's the chicken and egg, and 80 crore people are being given. Distribution is happening. Are we still collecting more? That's another point. But there are some worries in the economy, and for me, the worries in the economy, Gursharan Das, are the fact that private investment is just not picking up. Number two, HNIs, high net worth individuals, are leaving the country. Is there a connection between the two? Is there a problem that is happening there and a problem that needs to be addressed?
I think the fundamental issue really is the way, what I mean is the mindset of the bureaucracy. It's not policies. Yeah. It is the fact that the mindset, the bureaucracy's incentive system of the bureaucracy as I said earlier, is to say no, and is to treat the person, the taxpayer or whoever is on the other side, in the old colonial way of law and order, of lack of distrust. That's why I think the best word that has been uttered in the last few months in the corridors of Delhi is trust-based compliance. That really has been music to my ears, because for the first time, these deregulation commissions, who I hope will create a bonfire, a real bonfire of those regulations, which they are, and decriminalize most of them and digitize most of them. That is what we are expecting. So there is good news. I think there is good news that we could move towards and just to the point earlier on, we think of freebies as, yes, very correctly, that freebies take the place of investment that would create jobs, rather than giving instant gratification to anyone. What we don't realize is how badly the state finances are. Nobody is talking about that. The finances of many states have become dire. And that means they can't do. Where is the job? How can they create jobs when your finances are gone? And those
Absolutely, I agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more. But opening up this discussion forward, joining me this morning is an August panel, Gaurav Vallabh of the BJP, man, and he is also a part-time member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. And Gaurav Vallabh ji, I want to ask you, many are talking about the fact that while growth is robust, and in the context of the geopolitical situation, we are doing better than many of the neighboring economies and the fast-growing bigger countries. The fact of the matter is private investment not picking up is a huge worry, number one. Number two, elections that we have every now and then, which really gets down to how we can woo voters, taking away a lot of the fiscal discipline at the state level, at the center level. And number three, there is always this conversation of high net worth individuals leaving the country. How do you respond to some of these three issues that need to be addressed, probably in this budget?
Yes. See, Navika ji, all 3 points which you had raised are interlinked and interconnected to each other. And I will give you one by one response to all the 3 points. Number one, you asked about the private investment. It's correct that government's capex is in the last budget announced was 11,21,000 crores. But in the same way, the private sector capex is not growing up. It's growing. It's not deaccelerating. It's going up, but it is not at the same pace. Just to give you one data to understand this, that in 2014, the public capex in the budget by the government of India was somewhere around 4 lakh crore. And last year we had 11.21 lakh crore, 11,21,000 crore. So the same growth is not there in the private capex. There are 3 reasons. And I was listening to the members in your panel. One of the reasons pointed out by one of the learned panelists is the regulatory environment, the ease of doing business, and the predictability of the laws. So this is an issue on which government is consistently working. Already labor reforms are already initiated by government in the form of the 4 labor codes. The land reforms are in the pipeline. So what I used to say 3L, land, labor and legal reforms. So this is going to improve the private capex. And consistently we are reforming the land, labor and the legal side. In legal side, my focus is on the execution of the contracts and the decriminalization of some of the laws which are there. This is for the point number 1. Point number 2, you asked about freebies and the state of the states in our country. See,
I slightly differ with the panelists because I was listening for last 10 minutes. We have two kinds or two broad categories of freebies. The freebies which are permanent and which doesn't create infrastructure or which doesn't create job, and the freebies which are temporary and which is a hand holding and which creates infrastructure or which creates a job, like G Ramji. So giving 125 days right to every rural family of employment is not freebie as per me, because it creates rural infrastructure. Point number two, like scholarships in the schools, it's not freebie as per me, because it creates a intellectual capital for the country. But there are certain freebies. I don't want to enter into the political discussion today, but there are certain freebies which are for the political reasons, for the election reasons. So they are not giving the long-lasting impact or the positive impact on to the economy. But certain freebies are very much required, like Kisan Samman Nidhi. I don't consider that as a freebie. I consider that as a hand-holding, and it improves the consumption in the rural economy. And that takes the GDP to the next level, because your primary question was that why Indian economy is growing at 7.4%, whereas the other countries of the world like United States is right now growing at less than 2%, China somewhere around 4%, South Asian economies somewhere around 5%, but we are growing at 7.4%, and that is the basic reason that our consumption pattern is rotating the economy. When in the last budget up to 12.75 lakh of income, it was exempted, the consumption got improved. In the GST rate rationalization, when GST of all essential commodities were slashed, the consumption were improved. And just to give you a data, after the income tax deductions and the GST rate rationalization, the total consumption additional in the economy is 5.25 lakh crore. So that is driving the economy. 140 crore people's consumption is taking the economy to the next level, and that is now becoming the core strength of our country. And so when you are going to improve the consumption, then naturally the demand is going to arise. When demand is going to arise, the private investment is going to improve. So private investment in last 4-5 years got down, first of all 2 years because of Corona. Then after that it started increasing, but rate was not very encouraging. But now it is going to match the public capex.
Well, that's a hope. That's a hope, Gaurav Vallabhji. But you know, people have been talking about tax terrorism on this panel. The fact that ED, income tax, tax compliances, rather invasive, which is why a lot of businessmen like to operate out of maybe Dubai or somewhere else. HNIs are leaving this country, and that's a truth the government will have to face.
There is no tax terrorism. In fact, the tax laws were oversimplified. The new Income Tax Act is already there. It's oversimplified. If you ask any SSE, a common SSE, that had you received any information from the income tax after filing the return, he will say, yes, we received a SMS that received this, assessment is completed. So that kind of, and after the faceless initiatives in the income tax, there is nothing. And even if somebody wants to do tax terrorism, the policy will not allow you to do that. And coming to the HNIs,
then obviously you are in a country that we are not seeing much about. Anand, I'm coming to you, but I have Mr. Narendra Sitharaman joining me from the CII headquarters. He is co-chairman of the CII Trade Policy Council and CII International Council. Mr. Sitharaman, what are you expecting from this budget after the spate of FTAs that we've seen? Do you see private investment going up? Do you expect anything from the Finance Minister?
Morning, Navika. Definitely, we are looking at a big fillip for manufacturing and exports. There's also going to be a lot of focus on supply chain de-risking of imports. We're looking forward to all of that. we have to recognize that our merchandise trade deficit is almost 7% of GDP with $280 billion, and that is unsustainable for a country of our size. So definitely there's a need to expand exports, and we look forward to policy initiatives from the Finance Minister as part of the budget.
Yes, we are looking forward for that, but Anand Ranganathan has a question for you, Gaurav Vallabhji, but before he comes in, my question is what the Congress is asking today. Should we be hearing about the Venezuela oil deal from President Trump, or should the government have announced it on its own?
Can I take Anand's question also, because then I will respond?
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Vallabh. No, I just wanted very quick two questions. Yes, you say Kisan Samman Nidhi is welfare. Why isn't there a Doctor Samman Nidhi or a Jawan Samman Nidhi? And second question is, according to you, the government ad budget that you see government splashing every day, congratulating people on their birthdays and everything in newspapers, in the last 10 years, the central government ad budget is 10,000 crores. Do you think that is welfare or that is freebism?
I'm sorry, I seriously object to this. I only want these ads to be more on television than on newspapers. So you may ignore question number 2. Please answer the other 2 questions.
Navika ji, is it not true, and everybody will agree, is it not true that as far as the large economies of the world is concerned, India is the fastest growing economy, with a growth rate of 7.4% for FY26 and projected growth rates for FY27, 28 and 29 by all multilateral agencies 7+%. Is it not true that inflation in the economy, and I am talking about the retail inflation, is somewhere around 4%? Is it not true that fiscal deficit targets of 4.4% of GDP is achieved? Is it not true that our exports had reached to $800 billion with a growth of service exports of plus 6.5% and merchandise export to plus 2.5%? Is it not true that our foreign exchange reserves are $700+ billion, which is equivalent to 11 months import?
Answer my question on the Venezuelan oil deal.
Very strong foundation base. So I am coming to that. So opposition parties are there just to ask some questions or other, but they only told our economy as dead economy. Now, people who are seeing this economy as a dead economy, all their questions are irrelevant, Navika ji. जिसको चकाचौंध रोशनी में सूर्य भगवान के अंदर भी अंधेरा दिखता है, वो क्या उनके सवालों का क्या महत्व है? जो सूर्य पे पहुंच के बोलता है बहुत अंधेरा हो रहा है, तो फिर उनके सवालों का कोई महत्व नहीं रह जाता है.
चलिए, तो फिर आनंद जी के सवाल का जवाब दे दीजिए कि लॉयर सम्मान निधि, डॉक्टर सम्मान निधि, जर्नलिस्ट सम्मान निधि,
वो बहुत है. जर्नलिस्ट सम्मान निधि बहुत है.
अच्छा, ठीक है.
आनंद, आई विश प्रोफेसर सम्मान निधि भी होनी चाहिए, because that is also going to benefit you and many professors. So coming to your question, Anand, hand holding किनकी की जाती है? किनका हाथ पकड़ के जो रफ्तार से इतना आगे, जिनको ग्रोथ का फायदा नहीं मिलता, उनका हाथ पकड़ा जाता है. When I say 7.4% growth, and if the entire country, some people are left, we require to hold their hand. So this is not revdi, this is not freebie. This is something to improve the rural consumption and take the people in the growth yatra. विकास की यात्रा में कोई भी पीछे नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए. And that is what the inclusive development and Modinomics is. जब आप 55 करोड़ लोगों के खाते खुलवाते हो, इसी को इंक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक्स कहते हैं. जब आप मुद्रा स्कीम के तहत बिना कोलेट्रल के लोन देते हो, यही इंक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक्स है और यही वेलफेयर इकोनॉमिक्स है. But Revdi, I agree with the point which you raised before I joined the panel, but because I was hearing you, that some only for political reasons. Just 10 days before or 5 days before the election announcement, you announced something. I personally as economist I am not.
आप बिहार की बात तो नहीं कर रहे. आपकी सरकार ने बिहार में बहुत कुछ ऐसा किया था. महाराष्ट्र चुनाव से पहले किया था, हरियाणा में किया था. A. Saravanan of the DMK also joining this broadcast. Mr. Saravanan.
Yes.
Also joining me is the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson Anmol Pawar. Welcome to this broadcast this morning. Pradeep Bhandari joining the panel with Sanjay Jha as well. Saravanan ji, chapter and verse has been said about freebies being bad. Do you think there will be no freebies? And are you under some sort of a sweaty tension because Tamil Nadu elections are coming up? Will Nirmala Sitharaman ji take away the wind out of your sails by announcing something big for Tamil Nadu?
Yeah, see, firstly, calling that as a freebie, I think is an insult. Whatever it is a welfare measure. When you give a 7% tax cut for corporates, it is hailed. And what have they done? You were discussing about declining private investment. We have given them a tax cut, and 3 lakh crores has been the loss for the government in the last how much ever time that has gone, minimum of 3 lakh crores. No private investments. And where did all the money go? All went away. And people are fleeing the country because they are not able to retain the money, or they don't see value in India's future. That is the kind of economy the BJP has built. If this is one aspect. The other aspect is, when you give something into the hands of the poor, they cannot flee this country. They have to be here. That money has to be spent in the economy, which will in fact spur consumption. I don't know how these people, without understanding these basic economics, insult as freebies, and how can a freebie be given and all that. So it depends. If somebody from the higher strata of the society is given tax cut, is given waiver on loan, it is hailed. But when it is given to the lowest strata of the society in form of 1,000 rupee or a 2,000 rupee, it is a freebie and it will spoil the culture. Prime Minister course corrected. He said revdi culture is spoiling the economy of this country. Then he may ensure that every BJP state in this country is following what Tamil Nadu is doing, the Dravidian model of governance. We have started this. We ensured that 1,000 rupee it should be given.
So
to
there will be a Dravidian growth
across.
There will be a Dravidian growth, and for the Aryan growth, we will have to ask Pradeep Bhandari, Aryan growth kya hogi? Because Saravanan ji is only responsible for Dravidian growth. You know, are we looking at a new kind of politics and economics? Well, we'll debate that after this very short break. I know it's absolutely not my view that we should take a break at this point, but kya kare? Small break, coming back in just the next 120 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
The Amrita MBA. The Amrita MBA is more than a degree. It's a transformational journey that blends academic rigor with real-world relevance. With fully residential campuses across India, Amrita's business schools stand apart for their academic excellence and international recognition. Apply now. Amrita MBA.
When the nation demands clarity,
We cut through the noise to bring you the real story. Unbiased, unfiltered, unstoppable. On the ground, where it matters the most.
with insights that go beyond the headlines. We connect the dots so you see the bigger picture.
From every corner of the nation.
We are your voice, we are Times Now.
The faces you trust. The news you believe. Only on Times Now.
I carve the news blueprint of the day. One that chases the news course of the day. A course that is defiant, relevant, and persistent. I deliver the elusive truth and find justice. The stories here aren't just plain. They are a blueprint of what's explosive and exclusive. Watch Blueprint Explosive Exclusive every weekday at 6:30 p.m. only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
Rupee volatility driven by global markets, domestic mismanagement or tax. Global. Domestic mismanagement to ho hi nahi sakti. You'll never confess.
It was supposed to be one nation, one tax. It became something like one nation, 9 taxes.
She takes on the masters of Indian politics like no one else can.
Why does the Congress party live in denial of this? That this was done on religious lines and then killing them. Biggest difference working in the UPA government and the NDA government.
Because she speaks for you the way no one else can.
Are you saying Jeffrey Epstein was murdered?
Because your voice must be heard, your questions answered, above all else. Frankly Speaking with Navika Kumar.
For over 30 years, my journalism has been relentless, fearless, and uncompromised. My stories have breached lofty ivory towers and brought down the high and mighty. And I won't stop.
When the clock strikes 9, it is time for the news hour. Navika Kumar asks the legitimate question.
When your rights are trampled, I will be your voice, demanding answers from the corridors of power.
Welcome back to this broadcast for budget, and we have now exactly 29 minutes before Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman stands up in Parliament to present her budget on a Sunday, which is the February 1st, and her budget is going to be different from other budgets because this time Part B is not just about some tax tinkering here and there. It is about long-term and short-term goals. What we're also getting to hear at the moment is that there is going to be a strong emphasis on youth-centric schemes in this budget. Yes, the Prime Minister has often said that it is the youth dividend in this country that is a key focus area, and skill development will be something that will be the focus. Going across to Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan. Madhav, youth, a big part of also the voter base. I'm sorry, I'm not being cynical, but youth is the dividend that the Prime Minister has often spoken about.
Absolutely. Youth is one big, in fact, area and focus as far as this government is concerned. And clearly, of course, as far as the focus areas is concerned, spending on youth, sports is one area where we could see, in fact, likely schemes. What are these youth-centric schemes, though? We will have to look at. Skill development is also something that has been spoken about a lot over the last 11 years. How are we going to achieve those goals as far as skill development continue to remain, and in fact how we will be able to achieve these goals? Perhaps the budget will be able to throw more light. So what really will be the allocation for international tournaments? We've looked at, of course, the Commonwealth Olympics, our great Olympic dreams
Commonwealth
as well.
and Olympics coming up, so there's going to be a big push to that infrastructure. More breaking news coming in at this moment, and that's on the GST front. Hina, what is it that you're hearing?
Well, the numbers are going to be officially released soon, but what we have learned that there's going to be at least a 6% increase in the gross GST collections for January. Now, this is important, Navika, because after the GST next-gen reforms were announced before Diwali, that was the last time when our GST collections were above 1.9 lakh crores. They were 1.96 lakh crore. From that month, they started falling. November, it was 1.70 lakh crore. December, it fell to, again, 1.75. In January, we are expecting it to be around 1.93 lakh crore rupees. So a big boost there coming in, some more money for the Finance Minister to spend.
Well, more money, and will it go to Tamil Nadu? It's a question that I want to ask Pradeep Bhandari. And Pradeep Bhandari, Sarvanan says the Dravidian growth model is better. Do you have an alternative Aryan growth model? Because he may have a point, because Tamil Nadu among the best performing states as far as investment is concerned.
Well, Navika ji, we have a Viksit Bharat 2047 model, and I will not take the DMK spokesperson very seriously because his alliance partner Congress has only questioned him on his economic management. So first he should get an approval from his alliance partner, then he will have a response from me. But a larger point.
For once you're supporting the Congress party, Pradeep Bhandari.
The government. I'm not supporting the Congress party. Those who cannot get the support of their alliance partners, they should not ask question. घर के अंदर ही अपने घर वालों को साथ में नहीं रख पा रहे तो क्या हमसे सवाल पूछेंगे? पहले घर के परिवार के लोगों को साथ में रखें, फिर हमसे सवाल पूछे. But Navika ji, the larger point today is that this is a government which is a reform express government. So this will be a budget which will be a reform express budget. And please note that the Indian economy is in a very historic moment under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is in a Goldilocks space with a very solid oasis of macroeconomic stability with a single-digit inflation less than 2% and a 7% growth rate. Along with that, around 11 crore of capex spend. Along with that, forex reserve being doubled, and for the first time you have the resources flowing to the commercial sector rising by 29%. So this is all of this points towards one thing, that the fundamental is very solid. So the expectation from your studio, which I've been hearing in the last 30 minutes, is a very legitimate expectation to have, because all of you are positive about the economy, and we've gone away from the days of the Congress party where we used to worry about double-digit inflation and current account deficit and twin deficits. So this, I believe that this budget you will see a lot of smiles in your on your panel, and Anand has some valid points, and I believe that those also will be addressed. But please note that this is the only government which has taken care of macroeconomic stability compared to no government since independence. So the macroeconomic stability is the best, and this is why today you have resources to spend on across sectors. You have for the first time the GV of agriculture rising by 4.7% over a cross-decadal growth, which has never happened since independence. You have the defense budget growing by 9.09%.
Absolutely, and more breaking news that we are getting at this point is that disinvestment targets are likely to remain conservative. Economic survey says that government should come out of various investments and reduce their holdings to 26%, but will that happen? Is that a reform that's taking far too long? We are also taking in calls from our viewers this morning on what their expectations from budget are, and the first caller is when we get the first caller, we will go across to him. But Anmol Pawar, do you have any expectations from the budget, or should we expect you to say lackluster budget is what you're expecting, because that's exactly what you're going to say post-budget as well?
Navika ji, when we talk about a developed economy, we consider every section of society. And a budget that doesn't improve daily life is just arithmetic, because the poorest citizen is the true auditor of the budget. It reflects the vision of the government, it reflects the accountability. And today, we can see that no doubt we are the fastest growing economy, but whether these numbers have translated in providing a dignified, stable, and economic stable life to the common man of this country, that's the real question. And on that front, the data says that the government has failed, because they are providing 90 crore people with 5 kg ration. More than 80% of our country earns less than 10,000 rupees per month. Unemployment is at an all-time high. They promised us good days, but in return, we saw that they failed to provide employment. They failed to double farmers' income, and all their schemes, whether it was the Ayushman Bharat, whether it was Skill India, all are marred under corruption, and it's their own comptroller and auditor general report. So the reality is that the government speaks of growth, but the citizen speaks of survival, of EMIs, of hospital bills, school fees.
Pawar, I know you're demanding accountability, and you're absolutely well within your rights, but do you have any expectations? Are you expecting anything? If there's one thing that you'd want to ask Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, what would that be?
We wish and we suggest that real development will happen only when we'll have good government schools, and the people will get free education, good government hospitals where they'll get free healthcare, and we should not fight for basic amenities of life even after 70 years of independence.
All right,
BJP rules more
all
than
right,
22
all right.
states.
Good free education. Well, that's. That's for the states to do as well. How many states have delivered on that front? But my first caller calling in, Vithoba, calling in from Bengaluru. What is your expectation, Mr. Vithoba, this morning from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman?
Yes, I want some facilities for senior citizens.
All right.
Senior citizen, I am at 72 now. So if I go to a nationalized bank for a just secured loan for my emergency, they are simply rejecting my proposal. Even it is I have given security. And they want some IT and all. I have not filed IT, but I'm having income proof. I'm having.
All right, that's a very specific ask. I hope somebody in the Finance Ministry is taking note. Thank you very much, Mr. Vithoba, for joining me this morning. Also joining me is Shashwat Goenka, joining me live from CII. And Shashwat, what is your expectation? We're seeing a little bit of kabhi red, kabhi green from the markets this morning. Cautious outlook from the markets. How's India Inc. Looking at the budget, and what is it? What is that one big announcement that you're looking forward to from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman?
Hi Navika, thank you so much. When you look at India over the last couple of quarters, we have delivered our highest ever growth in terms of real GDP. And India Inc. is very excited about that because we believe that this budget is going to build on that growth momentum. We are expecting significant spends on infrastructure. This is not just on public infrastructure, but also on social infrastructure like education, like healthcare. And not just in terms of quantity, but in terms of quality education, quality healthcare. And we believe that that is what is going to propel the consumption economy in India ultimately.
Absolutely. Sanjay Jha, do you share the euphoria of India Inc. at this point? Do you think, the growth numbers in the last 2 quarters is something that will be built upon after the budget is announced?
Navika, I will answer your question, but I think the debate needs to be a lot fairer. I'm hearing 2 or 3 BJP spokespersons speak and they criticize the Congress, and we don't even get a voice on your program. Anyway, I will take 1/4 the time, but I will expose the lies that have been spoken. Number one, Mr. Gaurav Vallabh was my colleague in the Congress not long ago, and I know what he said about the BJP till he joined the BJP. He considered the economy not just dead, he considered it regressive. So I don't attach too much credibility to what he said on your show today. Second, they have the audacity to talk about social sector spending and inequality. Manrega, not just the name has been changed, the structure has been changed. India's poor will remain even worse off than ever before. Third, they talk of GDP. I have never heard Mr. Modi talk about the per capita income, which is the lowest among G20 countries and continues to be woefully inadequate. The poor and the middle class are suffering. Point number 4, very important. Does anybody even talk of crony capitalism anymore? That since 2014 to 24, and I'm arguing on data, not rhetoric. Here is the fact, Navika, 954 billion is the increase in the wealth of billionaires. And rural wages have gone up by 1.2%. And I'm not even taking inflation into account. And how many people live in the rural sector? Almost 60% of India. Last but not the least, look at the one reality. Somebody talked of skills program. I would request them to look at the CAG report, which talks to you about the huge corruption in the skills program in India. And of course, since I live in Mumbai, I have to share it on behalf of India Inc. because CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM will not have the courage to speak on a public program. India Incorporated is tired with fear. They are scared and they know there is no level playing field. If they are in a particular sector, 2 big industrialists will come and capture that sector, and that is the reality of Indian business today.
All right, Sanjay Jha, it's a fair platform where you at least cannot complain that you don't get an opportunity to speak. You've spoken your mind, you speak every evening, and I welcome your points of view. But when you talk about, one section of the society where incomes are going up, just look at Mr. Rahul Gandhi's income tax returns and his wealth going up. I wish in fairness, you would also mention that he's part of that 1% that has seen growth in incomes. But joining me are callers, Rishabh Mishra calling me from Delhi, Rajesh Sehgal also a Delhi caller. Rishabh, what's your point? What do you expect from this budget?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm a lawyer, and I'll speak on this with our view. Basically, ma'am, whenever you will see any person who is specializing in a field, he has just started to work, like an advocate, a doctor, or a banker. He would need a skill development regard to his field. So there is no research, there is a skill development program going on. I would be expecting that it would go in a way forward that they would get a specialization with regard to their field, more focused on them.
All right. Fair demand and good suggestion. I do hope Finance Minister is listening to this one. Rajesh Sehgal, what's your expectation?
Ma'am, I think good morning to all people on the panel, and I think that the intent of the BJP government has been very good, and the middle class reforms and all they have been taking. The important point is that the money in the pockets, they have taken a cue from the Manmohan Singh government. And as the last caller called upon the skill development, the internship programs and all have to take part like they were announced and all, but I don't think so there were any takeaway for the kind of internship program. The implementation part of these programs are lacking. AI and other fields are massive. Take the Indian students, develop these kind of things, and India is going to give you a kind of a rebound. Even US can't think about it and all. So
fair point, Rajesh Sehgal. Great suggestions coming in from both Rishabh and Rajesh. Pradeep Bhandari, I hope you will take notes and take them to your party, because these are positive, constructive suggestions. Also joining me this morning, Jayanti calling in from Madurai. Good morning, Jayanti ji. What is your expectation?
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am. I'm a low middle class homemaker, and my husband is an agent for a borewell rig company. And now their most expenses is only the fuel. 80% of fuel they are taking with their borewell and the rig company. And with that 80%, they are putting GST on that. So it is very difficult for us to earn even 5,000 rupees per month for our expenses. And the groceries are too costly, becoming too costly after the GST reduction and all that. And a low middle class persons like us, the government should reduce GST from the borewell and the rig agent companies.
All right. Lower income groups looking for some support. Pradeep Bhandari, I hope you will take that suggestion as well. Mr. Padmanathan calling from Bengaluru. What is your expectation, sir?
See, I am as a retired banker and a pensioner. I have my own grievances. That's a different thing. But if you look at the nation as a whole, this government has been doing a wonderful job. See, opposition's job is to see that they question the wrong things of the government. But here, persons like Mr. Sanjay Jha, very knowledgeable person, his only agenda is to always criticize. You should also have some amount of discretion to, wherever necessary, talk about the good things that the government have done. You must see how many people have been brought above the poverty line in the North Indian states, particularly in this thing where the predominance of this thing has been there. It is very unfortunate that the opposition is not behaving as a real opposition, constructive opposition and helpful opposition.
Well said, Mr. Padmanathan. Let me check with both Sarvanand ji and Sanjay Jha ji if they want to turn a new leaf. Sanjay Jha, first.
Can I address the gentleman very respectfully, sir? You know, one of the questions that we have asked, and you should be interested because I think you look like all of us, a citizen of India who cares. This government of Mr. Modi that you admire a lot gave the corporate sector of India 1,50,000 crores. 1,50,000 crores, which over the last 7 years is over 10 lakh crores as a corporate subsidy. You know what you were told by Mr. Modi's government? They will create private investment, which Navika says is not happening. I'm not saying it. The world knows it though. And they said they will create jobs. In India, over the last 8 years, 18,000 people have committed suicide because they didn't have jobs. And you think questioning this government is being unfair, is being critical?
Ranganathan raising his hand. Anand Ranganathan, you want to come in?
This is why I love the people who come on to your show, who speak the common voice, the vox populi. They deal with just facts. Now, the Clems report was constituted by the UPA, and the Clems report said last year 46 million jobs were created. And let me talk of something called the lowest ever. We're talking of highest ever GST collection, vehicle sales. Inflation has been the lowest ever. Gini coefficient has been the lowest ever. There are so many things that are the lowest. So, as Monica correctly said, but the point is, and this is something that hypocrites always, revolve
themselves about.
मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा ऐसे जो भी है. The point is, they are saying freebie, or I am for welfareism. Of course I am. And this government has done more welfareism than any other previous government in India's independent history. I can give you the stats. But I also say this, that socialism / welfareism is only possible in a capitalist state. You need to generate that money. And that's why this government needs to get out of running businesses.
There is no free lunch. Milton Friedman's economics tells you that there is no free lunch. And I want to bring in Mr. Singhania. Mr. Singhania, I want to ask you, there are common people raising the question. Of course, everybody has a problem with the prices, whatever level the CPI inflation may be at. Household budgets are always under strain. We all know it and we all experience it. But if you were to look at the Indian economy without any of the blinkers that political party has, either biased positively or biased negatively, if you remove all of those, how do you assess the so far growth of the Indian economy, and what are you expecting, especially for the common people, in terms of the taxation policies? When the finance minister reads out her budget. Incidentally, yes, the cabinet has approved the budget, and in just about 9 minutes from now, we'll go across straight to Nirmala Sitharaman, but Mr. Singhania first.
Yep. Thanks, Navika. And I think there are more learned people here to talk and comment on the GDP growth. But I think what I'm very encouraged about is the compounding effect of the growth rate, right? So if you look at last 3-4 years, that growth rate has been consistently between 6 and 7, now 7.4% this year. And next 3 years, it's between 7.2%, right? If you just look at the compounding effect of that, that's the most encouraging statistics that you can get for the Viksit Bharat sort of roadmap, right? So I don't think there should be any doubt about the roadmap of the growth that Indian economy is on, right? And there can always be debate, but there shouldn't be a doubt that this is the best trajectory that we have had in the independent India history, and this is what will take us to the developed economy goals, right?
Are you a Sanghi?
I'm the most apolitical person on your show, but that's my very independent
point of view on this
that
question will come from the
Sanjay,
panel, so I'm just preparing you for it.
I'm sure. And maybe I'll pass on this question to Anand Dio. But just before I stop, on the tax piece, Navika, one thing that I do want to demystify on this show is that no longer any tax proposal in the budget are about either a political agenda or even giving the freebie to the economy, right? Whether to the poor people or the corporate. All tax changes in last 3-4 years, if you look at whether last year budget where the tax slab rates were increased significantly to 12 lakh rupees, there is a proposal likely this year that there will be joint tax filing possible for a married couple.
You think that's a good thing?
I think that's a very, very progressive move if that happens, and you will experience.
Are you expecting? What's your bet on?
I think this should come through, and the tax exempt limit should go literally double, right? So from 12 lakhs it should become 24 lakhs for a joint tax filing for a married couple, right? And that's a big change that could happen, right?
Okay.
So that, to my mind, no tax change.
Is there tax terrorism in the country for corporates? Yes or no?
You heard Mr. Vallabh commenting on that, but as a tax professional, I can say is that lots of structural, lots of administrative changes have already been done. Refunds are coming much faster. Tax audits are happening in a more structured manner. I would say that it's much less now than it was about 10 years ago. That's how you might.
Tax terrorism is less now than it was 20 years ago. Well, now Sanjay Jha and Mr. Saravanan probably hearing this. But before I come to you, Mr. Saravanan, Karthik calling in from Bengaluru. Karthik, what is your expectation?
Hello.
Yes, Karthik.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, very audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Across India.
Taxpayer. Hello. Hello.
Yes, go on, Karthik.
Yes, ma'am. As a taxpayer, I would suggest that the government can give us some benefit for the middle class people, because lower class people has various schemes. Higher class people are enjoying with the CSR activities and other kind of exemptions. But being a middle class, government has just squeezed in.
You just got a tax break last year, not enough?
No, ma'am. As a normal individual, as a middle class, something from the government can increase the.
All right. Okay, fair enough. Dil mange more, but Sangmesh Hiramat also calling in from Bengaluru. What is your expectation?
My expectation in the two sides is there, ma'am. The first one is the jobs opportunities for the younger people has become less, and raising prices in all the areas. The prices are rising, and the people are not being able to manage their families and get to married also. The jobless persons are not being able to married also. So many people not getting even married also.
Okay.
So, and one more thing is, older women are, their treatment, they are being, cancer patients are there, stroke patients are there. Their facilities, it means to get affordable what they are doing for them. It means individual not being able to take care themselves also, how they can manage to take care
so
of
two callers, having problems with marriage as well as from incomes. Shri Hari from Hyderabad, what is your expectation, sir?
Madam, good morning. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to ask my question. See, the problem with the financial institutions or the bank is the CIBIL score. Okay. So in spite of making all the payments, sometimes the CIBIL score acts very funny, particularly with reference to the credit card. And they only listen to the banker and not to the common man. So there should be some process like
so banking reforms, the more we are hearing this, the more there is some issue with the banking reforms. Well, thank you very much for bringing that to our notice, and we will pass these on to Finance Ministry. But Anand Ranganathan,
because I see all the time the middle class grouse, and I think it's quite legitimate as well. I think, but can I suggest something dramatic that would assuage the people who pay tax? Which is their permanent grouse, legitimate one is that they don't savor the rewards when they are taxed. So I think maybe, I don't know, it's probably never going to happen, but 10% of all tax that anyone pays should go back to his or her locality and the municipality or the council for the improvement of that particular place where that person is staying.
Well, there is, even if Bihar elections are over, there is no ban on being Mungeri Lal. So please continue to be that. And Monica Hallan,